Hey, third grade, it's Mrs. Hankemeyer, and we're going to be talking about how different rectangles can have the same area, and really more specifically, we're talking about how you can draw those different rectangles so that you know some options. So one option is you could definitely guess and check. Like if you need a rectangle with an area of 12, you could randomly just start trying to draw a rectangle and see, okay, is that 12? Is it not 12? And just start counting, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Okay, that's not it, so try something different. The problem with that is it's going to take a long time. So I want to give you a strategy that you can think about when you're asked to draw rectangles with a certain area. So let's use that same example. Let's say that we want a rectangle with an area of 12. When I'm doing that, I need to think about that to find the area, we're going to take the length times the width. So I need to think about two numbers when multiplied together get 12. Well, the first thing that you might be thinking of that I think is really helpful is that any number times 1 is itself. We've learned that from multiplication. So I know 12 times 1 would get me an area of 12. So I'm going to show that rectangle to you now. I think I'm going to make a red one here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I think that's 12. I need to double check though. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Good. So I've now made one rectangle with an area of 12. It is a side of a 1. Oops, I moved that on accident. And the side is 12. It's a 1 by 12. That means I could do 12 groups of 1, or I could have one group of 12. Sometimes third graders want to say, hey, that's one rectangle, and check out my other rectangle, Mrs. Hankemeyer. Look at this one right here. And I want to go, that's not a different rectangle. That's the same rectangle that you've already drawn. All you did was rotate it. So I don't accept that as a different rectangle. That's really the same rectangle. So we need a completely different looking rectangle. So we need to think, are there any other numbers, two numbers, different numbers, that when multiplied together equal 12? And I happen to know of another one. Oh, it's tilting. I'm going to leave it not perfect, and you guys are just going to know. Another two numbers that can be multiplied together that I know of that'll get me 12 is two groups of 6. So I started with one group of 12, and I'm going to think about twos. And there is something. Two groups of 6 would get me 12. So I'm going to go ahead and make a 2 group of 6. That's not what I want. Let's do a yellow one. Let's do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 2 groups of that. This will also have an area of 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. It is a 2 by 6. There are 2 groups of 6. Or I could say there's 6 groups of 2. Thinking to myself, well, we have a 1 group of 12, we have 2 groups of 6. Are there any other numbers that can be multiplied together to get 12? And I can think of one more example that I'd like to show you. Let's make this one an orange one. I know 3 times 4 gets me 12. So 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that rectangle, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That is a 3 by 4, which will also get me 12. 3 totally different rectangles. They all have an area of 12 square units. Now I'm thinking, can I make any other? Are there any other options, and how do I know for sure? Well, I've done a 1 group. I've done 2 groups. I've done 3 groups. 4 groups is already done for me. Look at it right here. 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4 groups is already done. Can I make 5 groups of something to have it equal 12? Well, 1 group of 5 is 5. 2 groups of 5 is 10. 3 groups of 5 is 15. No, I can never get to 12. What about a 6? Ooh, I already have 6 covered. So as I'm starting to think through, these are going to be all my options. Let's try another example with a different number and move a little bit quicker. Let's show the grid because I think that's kind of helpful, and we'll make it a little bit bigger here. Let's do maybe 20. An area of 20 is what we're looking for. So I could think about doing a 1 by 20, but I'm not sure if I have enough space. Let me check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I don't have enough space to do a 1 by 20. I could, but not with this graph paper. So I need to think of another option. Well, one group of 20. 20 is an even number, so I could split it into 2 equal groups. 2 times 10 would give me 20. So do I have enough to do 10? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I sure do. We'll do orange for this one. 1, 2, 3. Botched it. That means I messed up. Let's try again. Sorry about that. Technology, man, gets the best of us. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And I'm going to make 2 groups of those. And now I have 20, and I'm going to label those sides because that's just as helpful. I have 2 groups of 10. It's a 2 by 10, and the area is 20 units squared. I need to think of another rectangle I can make. Well, thinking about numbers that I can multiply together to get 20. Another one I know of is when I count by 5s, I get to 20. So 5, 10, 15, 20. 4 groups of 5 gets me 20. So I'm going to do that. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 20 in that one too. It is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of 5 by 4, which gets me 20 units squared. 20 unit squares in there. So those are my 2 options. So when you go ahead and create rectangles on a certain area, you want to think about the 2 numbers you can multiply together to get that number. And you want to try and think of all the different options and at least come up with 2. A lot of numbers, there's 2, sometimes not always, but you know, even numbers like 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, all those you can always split into 2 equal groups. So that's kind of helpful to know. And you can think about your 5s. A lot of times if you count by 5s, that's a really quick one to check. So start with those and see if you can reach them. And then you might have to guess and check a few options like, does this number times something equal the area I'm looking for? Thanks so much for your great listening. I think you'll have just maybe 1 or 2 minutes that you can try going to the website I provide, and you can think about trying to make rectangles with a certain area. But you'll only have a couple minutes. Thanks, guys.